You're listening to the Tales of Leadership podcast. This podcast is for leaders at any phase on their leadership journey to become a more purposeful and accountable leader, what I like to call a PAL. Join me on our journey together towards transformational leadership. Welcome back to the Tales of Leadership podcast. I am your host, Josh McMillion, an active duty Army officer and the founder of McMillion Leadership Coaching. And I am on a mission to create a better leader, what I like to call a purposeful, accountable leader, or a PAL. And I plan to do that by sharing transformational stories and skills with you guys. On today's episode, we're going to be going through a transformational skill, and it's really exciting because we're finally at the series of what I like to call the 6 phases of leadership. And just to kind of give you the background and set the stage, I've already went over the 6 different phases of leadership, and I've done a deep dive into each one of those phases. We're now on the 6th phase where I've already given you ways to lose at that phase. Now we're going to go over 7 ways to win at that phase. And if you want to go back and revisit any of the material that I've already provided you guys, you can go to McMillionLeadershipCoaching.com and check out the blog articles that are already fully written, or you can go listen to the previous episodes. And that's another great point. All of this content is already captured in a blog for you guys. All you have to do is go to McMillionLeadershipCoaching.com. Don't have to take notes. You can go view all of that material right there. Very easy. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. Throughout this journey, we've explored practical strategies to succeed and avoid pitfalls at each phase of leadership. Leadership is a transformational journey where we forge our own path towards growth. Each step we take is a small action that contributes to unlocking our full leadership potential. Remember, regardless of where you currently stand on the 6 phases of leadership, you're still a leader. Go back to the first phase, which is self-leadership. You cannot lead anyone unless you learn to lead yourself. As you progress and gain more influence, each mastered phase becomes a metaphorical support beam for your bridge, your leadership bridge. And remember how I talked about that concept is that each one of those pillars support your journey to the end destination. And that's really where we master leadership. And that's the end of our life, right? Because leadership is a journey. It's never a destination. We never get there because there's always more to learn. Rushing through those phases weakens our bridge and risks a collapse. Committing to growth mindset rather than a goal-oriented mindset is essential to reach our peak and truly discover who we were meant to be and what our full potential is. So in this final podcast episode, we're going to explore 7 powerful strategies that purposeful accountable leaders or PALs utilize to thrive in summit leadership. And here's a quote by Ray Kroc. The quality of a leader is reflected in the standards they set for themselves. So the first way to win at summit leadership is strategic thinking. PALs understand the significance of strategic thinking, which sets great leaders apart from average. Devoting intentional time to think allows for the tactical pauses needed to make courageous choices. However, thinking correctly is crucial, especially at the summit leadership. And as a side note, I plan to do a full series on different ways that you can kind of think to add that to your arsenal as a leader. But again, I'm an active duty Army officer, an extremely demanding job. So I can only trickle out all of these ideas that I have in my head. But start by recognizing the problems that deserve your attention and your decisions impact the entire organization. So focus on those levels of decisions that's going to affect not just you, but every single person within your organization and outside your organization. By shifting from a tactical lens to a strategic lens, you bound your thinking and focus on problems that genuinely demand your time. Additionally, create white space for others to think, and that is absolutely critical. This powerful tool often sacrificed in the face of new challenges, multiplies the problem solving capabilities of your team. By dedicating time for your team to work through problems at their level, you foster growth and empower them. So you have to be able to give them white space. And trust me, I've learned that the hard way, because I thought that the mark of a good leader is to have a full calendar. The mark of a good leader is to have white space on their calendar so they can actually do the things they need to do. Purposeful, accountable leaders understand the importance of controlling their time to shape their future. So the next way to win is guiding others. And remember, one of the core pillars of what a leader is they are a shepherd. We are guiding others through this journey by giving them a powerful vision and providing key tasks that have to be complete along the way, and that desired end state. What does success look like? Well, guiding others. Pals have a clear goal when they reach the peak of their leadership abilities, and that is to be a shepherd of others. Leadership is an ongoing journey, and as you achieve summit leadership, you've overcome numerous obstacles. Embrace the opportunity to guide others on their leadership journey and shine a spotlight on their growth. The true measure of your success as a leader lies in the number of leaders you produce along the way. As emerging leaders rise, be there to guide them through the challenges and the hardships you've experienced. Your wisdom can significantly shorten the learning curve and propel them on their leadership path or on their leadership bridge. Freely give away power, enabling others to succeed. Empowerment can come in many forms of that could be sharing information, mentorship, connecting them to the right points of contact, or instilling confidence in your team that this is the right leader at the right time to get them through it. Leaders who empower others create a ripple effect within the organization, amplifying the ability to produce other leaders, and that is absolutely critical. Purposeful, accountable leaders have the vision to see the potential in others and stretch individuals with their capacity for high level leadership. And that's critical too, is that you can only stretch someone to a certain point and they can still be successful. So you have to be able to determine that as a leader. And that's hard to do. And it takes time, but that really takes you being intentional and getting to know your team, because you have to know them to understand how far they can stretch before they break. They are unafraid to share information, dedicating time to observe, coach, and train. Remember, OTC. The goal at this level is to build phase 5 leaders that will ultimately replace you one day. And remember, that is always the goal of leadership. You are looking through you because you're just a temporary roadblock. Remember, having that servant mindset that someone is going to replace you one day. So every decision you make should be made without you, and it should be into the future. So make sure that you're making those decisions and you're guiding others along the way. The next way is an aerial view. And this is always just one of my absolute favorite leadership nuggets that I've learned. Purposeful, accountable leaders operate with a 10,000 foot view, rising above the tactical and operational issues that consume most leaders at the lower level. As you reach the summit, you hold one of the highest positions within whatever organization. Ultimately, that comes with unique challenges. It's critical to separate yourself from the day-to-day problems that avoid causing inefficiencies by consistently rescuing others. Your job is not to rescue others. Your job is to come up with that vision and allow the others to execute it. And yes, we have that sledgehammer mentality when we need to go down and solve a problem, but it is not our job to solve the problems. Remember, we're trying to stretch our team and our individuals so they can grow that type of capacity, so they can become the leader that the organization, the world, that our team needs one day. PALs operate from an aerial perspective, leveraging strategic leadership intelligence. And I see 3 different types of leadership intelligence. And this is really the merger of the art and the science of leadership, including emotional intelligence and all those other facets. But it's TOES: tactical, operational, and strategic intelligence. At the summit, Your performance is not weighed solely by your individual work, but by the vision you create for your organization. Adopting a holistic long term perspective allows you to cast a compelling vision that inspires others to take action and generates momentum. By realizing that your role is not to be the rescuer, but to be the leader who stretches individuals and the organization, you can maximize others' potential while understanding their limitations. Purposeful accountable leaders operate from an aerial perspective. And here is a quote for you: the ultimate leader is willing to develop people to the point that they eventually surpass them in knowledge and ability. So the next way to win is cultivating strengths. Again, this is something that I say all the time, but it's true. You have to focus on your strengths, build up your strengths, and avoid your weaknesses until you have to start cultivating those weaknesses. So, cultivating strengths. Purposeful accountable leaders realize that to move mountains, it's essential to focus on developing strengths rather than weaknesses. But why? Begin by identifying your own strengths and then actively cultivating them. At the summit phase of leadership, you must have an absolutely 100% crystal clear understanding of your strengths and then continually working towards mastering them. Create a culture within your organization that prioritizes the development of strengths rather than obsessing over weaknesses. It's common misconception that we should focus on improving our weaknesses, but this approach wastes valuable time and resources. Concentrating on what you're naturally gifted at, you can become an expert in those areas. Purposeful accountable leaders strive to exceed expectations, cultivating a culture that values resilience and empowers leaders to align their individual strengths with the organization's weaknesses. And here's just a thought that you have to remember when it comes to weaknesses and strengths. If you are not naturally gifted in an area, and we'll just use this one for me, is mathematics. I can do mathematics. I have a master's in engineering. I can do that, but it takes me time and it takes me resources, time, talents, and treasures, right? The three T's. It takes those out of me to do it. And at the end, it's just not a fun experience. So I leverage other assets and people around me that have that as a strength. It doesn't matter how much math that I consume and practice on. And trust me, I used to go through algebra books just before I went to get my master's degree. I am still not going to be very good at math. I'll be proficient, but is that going to actually make me a better leader? No. Focus on what your strengths are. Master those, become exceptional at those, and then allow others to cover your dead space. And I've covered that countless times, and I'm sure I'm going to continue to just resonate with that. So the next way to win at summit leadership is developing an inner circle. And I think this is really more important than ever, especially when you get to this level, because you probably experienced so much success that there are going to be people in and around you that just want to be around you because you are successful. And they're going to be what they like to call yes people, right? You're going to have the men and women on your team that are going to just agree with everything that you say. And that's exactly who you do not need around you when you have that level of influence and authority. So purposeful accountable leaders understand that the individuals they spend time with greatly influence their future. A simple exercise to predict your future is to write down, and do it right now. Pause this podcast and do it. The top 5 people you spend most of the time with each week, and exclude your family. So it could be a podcast that you listen to, whoever influences you every single week. And if it's work, that's only one contact. Those individuals often reflect the direction that you are heading. As you reach the summit, it's critical to remain grounded by creating an inner circle of trusted individuals. Your inner circle serves 2 valid purposes. First, they challenge you to grow, ensuring that you never settle for mediocrity. Leadership is a continuous journey. Remember, John Maxwell says it's a verb, it's to take action. Regardless of your position or profession, it's essential to have individuals within your circle who are not content with your current state. By encouraging you to reach for more and stretch you. All right, team, let's take a quick break from this episode, and I want to share a message from McMillion Leadership Coaching, a company that I founded. So what do? I help leaders discover their purpose, create long-term growth plans, and take inspired action. I believe everything rises and falls on leadership. Regardless of where you are in life, one fact is true. You are a leader of others, your family, and most importantly, yourself. To lead others well starts with you. Stop surviving and start thriving in life. Here's 3 easy steps to get started. Go to McMillionLeadershipCoaching.com and schedule a call today. It's free. You have nothing to lose. Number 2, start the 100-day leadership challenge. And then number 3, simply grow your leadership. We all have greatness inside, but it's up to us to forge those abilities. Become the leader your team needs. Back to the podcast. Second, your inner circle provides honest feedback, and that is absolute gold as you continue to grow. Leaders often encounter individuals who tell them what they want to hear rather than the truth. Your inner circle should practice constructive candor and be unafraid to challenge you privately. Courageous members of your inner circle will directly challenge you when you veer off of that path. Remember the bridge, right? It doesn't matter how we get to that destination. It's probably going to look like an EKG, but as long as we get to that destination without falling off the sides, which is really our values, morals, and ethics, then we are successful. And we need people within our inner circle that bound us down and make sure that our azimuth is as straight as possible. Joining a mastermind is just a way to do this. And I'm part of a mastermind. I think that is a great tool, but you don't have to pay tons of money to be part of a mastermind. Go find one that makes sense for you, or just find individuals that you know, like, and trust by finding a group of friends and meeting once a week. It could be finding a coach. I think that's an excellent way to do it and cultivate an inner circle. I have a coach and I'm a coach, right? So because it's that accountability check, someone that is going to provide constructive candor to me, but also provide the feedback and the insights that I just don't have, and stretch my abilities and push me beyond my own capacity. Purposeful accountable leaders are intentional about the company that they keep. Focus your thoughts. So this is the next way to win at Summit Leadership. PALs are deliberate with their time and concentrate on making a meaningful impact within the organization. And remember, this can be applied to any asset of your life, within your family, within a team, within an organization, as a small business. It doesn't matter. These tools are universal. And that's what I absolutely love about leadership. Leadership does not just apply to business practices. It applies to every facet of our life. As a leader at the top, it's critical to direct your time towards challenges and issues that demand a response. Evaluate the areas you are currently working on and ensure they're aligned while serving the organization's strategic goals. Your time as a summit leader should be invested in solving strategic problems or guiding your team through them. Remember, you're a shepherd. Furthermore, I need you to utilize your platform to amplify your mission and your vision within the organization as much as possible. And just kind of deviating really quick, when I was a company commander, whenever I had an opportunity to talk to the men and women I had the honor to serve with, I always kind of went over what my pillars were and what my mission and my vision is, because that has to be instilled. Every time that you get a chance to talk to your organization, always go through the mission, always go through the vision, and continue and continue and continue, because people learn in 2 ways: frequency or pain. And I had a drill sergeant tell me that a long time ago. McMillion, you're only going to learn 2 ways: frequency or pain. And it's our choice. So as a leader, the easy choice is just to constantly be able to re-emphasize what our mission and our vision is. By frequently communicating your vision, you're reinforcing shared values and the purpose you want to be emulated within the organization. As a summit leader, you have the opportunity to amplify the success of other leaders within the organization. Don't hesitate to leverage your achievements to help others overcome their plateaus. And I'm going to say that again. Don't hesitate to leverage your achievements to help others overcome their plateaus. Purposeful accountable leaders add value to other leaders and invest their time in challenges that require a response. And here is a quote by Lauren Wolf. The ultimate test for a leader is not whether he or she makes smart decisions and takes decisive action, but whether he or she teaches others to be leaders and builds an organization that can sustain its success even when he or she is not around. True leaders put ego aside and strive to create successors who go beyond them. The next way to win at Summit Leadership is to build redundancy. Purposeful accountable leaders train leaders within the organization to a point where they can perform their own job exceptionally well. Regardless of your position or leadership phase you find yourself on, the ultimate goal is to train others to successfully fill your position or to fill your role. Building redundancy within your team allows for synergy and resilience. Life has a way of throwing challenges at us, and at times you may find yourself understaffed. Overcoming these challenges requires building redundancy within your organization. However, as a confident leader, you must be willing to train others to perform your job. And that's hard to do for some people because you have to let go of your ego. As you progress on your leadership bridge, your influence grows and you face a decisive point. And remember what a decisive point is, right? So in the military, a decisive point is that moment in time in the battle where you now have gained so much momentum on the battlefield. Maybe that's in combat power. Maybe that is in the number of enemies still remaining. Maybe that's just the amount of terrain that you've taken or that key building that you now have seized a foothold in. But the point is that decisive point is where you now have overwhelming advantage to continue to move forward and where success is not just an option anymore. It's now secured. It's now guaranteed. So this is your decisive point. Embrace a growth mindset rather than a scarcity mindset. If you fear losing what you're working towards, you may resist training others to perform your job. But pals understand that when the team wins, they win. And I wish everyone would understand that. I'm gonna harken back to Michael Scott, the regional manager for Dunder Mifflin, right? We need a win, win, win. They freely share their knowledge and secrets, actively create leaders who can perform their jobs even better. Remember, purposeful, accountable leaders freely share their knowledge and secrets and work to create leaders that can do their job even better than them. So here are my final thoughts. And as we've went through this entire 6 phases of leadership, I'm going to give you some of my top 10 takeaways to really just bound it down even more for you guys. But achieving summit leadership is the pinnacle of one's leadership career. And as a side note, I have not achieved that. And I don't know if I ever will, but I'm going to continue to try to do that. I'm going to try to use the platform that I'm building to do that so I can continue to make change. And that's, I think, one of the most important key takeaways that I want to provide you is that it's not about gaining fame or notoriety. When you get to this level, it's about creating change, positive change within others' lives. Remember, who am I serving? Not how can I get stuff out of what I'm doing right now. Always ask the question of who am I serving? As leaders, we all eventually transition out. We put up our uniform, we put up our jacket, and our success is determined by the performance of those we've mentored, we've coached, we've observed, and that we've trained and ultimately inspired to take action and continue. The phases of leadership have been an enlightening journey towards unlocking our full leadership potential. Remember, it is a bridge. It is a verb. It's continuing to take action. It is not a destination. We have a clear endpoint and we have a clear starting point, but we never know what our end point is going to be. And to me, I think ending point for me is death. When I die, then I stop learning. But every single day, I'm going to continue to move forward and I'm going to continue to grow because I know when I grow that I am becoming a better leader. and I'm adding more tools to my toolkit, not for selfish gains, but because the world is going to challenge me one day. And I want to be able to conquer in that environment. The world can get a vote, the enemy can get a vote, but I'm going to have enough knowledge and skills and tools in my arsenal that I'm going to be able to overcome any storm that this world gives me. Rushing through those phases of leadership that we've covered will weaken your leadership bridge and will collapse. To reach your peak as a purposeful, accountable leader, I believe you need to embrace a growth mindset and commit to developing your leadership capacity every single day. All right, team, it's time for our after action review. Really hot wash for this one because we don't have a guest on. So, what are my final thoughts? Achieving summit leadership is the pinnacle of one's journey. And at this stage, the primary focus should be on creating a lasting legacy. And a side note, I am nowhere near this phase of leadership, but I'm working every single day to grow towards that. As leaders, we all eventually transition out, and our success is determined by the performance of those around us that we have coached, trained, mentored along the way, and ultimately inspired to continue to take action. The phases of leadership have been a way that I can show you how to unlock your full leadership potential and to show you that it is a journey. It's not a destination. When you get a leadership role, congratulations. That's really the second phase of leadership. You have just started. Continue to grow. Leadership, in my mind, does not end at one specific moment in time because leadership is a multifaceted definition. It is your family. It is yourself. It is your community that you lead. It is your organization. It is your team. So we always have room to grow. And I see this as I will continue to grow until the day that I die. And the day that I die on my leadership bridge, that is my endpoint, my destination. My desired end state is when I die, I want to be able to look back on my life and understand that I left this life empty, meaning that I have given everything that I possibly could. I have poured myself out to others, my family, my team, my organization, and I have achieved the best version of myself that is humanly possible. Remember, regardless of where you are on your path, you are a leader. Doesn't matter. You're a leader. Rushing through these phases of leadership and not being intentional with them can weaken your leadership bridge and risk collapse. To reach your peak as a purposeful, accountable leader, embrace a growth mindset and commit to developing your leadership capacity and others around you. So here are the top 10, I believe, essentials out of these entire 6 phases of leadership, and really no order, but it's just kind of a bonus to you guys and add it to your toolkit. So number 1, maintain your curiosity and never stop learning. Number 2, stay unwavering in your focus and on the vision that you're setting within your organization and in your life. Number 3, develop accountability by surrounding yourself with a trusted inner circle. Number 4, prioritize decisions that genuinely require your time and attention. Number 5, dedicate time to strategic thinking and develop others around you. Let go of your ego. Number 6, establish redundancy through your organization for increased resilience. Number 7, be a proactive force for positive change. Like a sledgehammer, drive progress. Number 8, clearly define your desired legacy and work every single day. Remember T-ball, our thoughts shape our beliefs drive our actions, and our action forges our legacy. Number 9, continuously challenge yourself to empower others to grow beyond their comfort zone. And number 10, ensure that everyone's voice is heard and valued within the organization. All right, team, we are at the end of a series that I like to call the 6 phases of leadership. But do me a favor. If you like what you hear, go follow me on social media. You can find me as Joshua K. McMillion on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all of those. But if you want to go back and revisit this at any given time or actually write it down, go to McMillionLeadershipCoaching.com. It's right there. And I always write a blog article when I'm not interviewing someone on my podcast, but this is where I need help. Make sure that you share my podcast with someone that is a leader. Give me a 5-star review, whether that be on whatever platform you listen. And then at the end of the day, if you like the content that I'm bringing to you guys, make sure you support the channel. And you can do that by going to any of my social medias and finding this podcast on Buzzsprout, which is Tales of Leadership /Buzzsprout.com. And then just supporting the show, it would mean the world, and it would continue to allow me to give you great, amazing content if you think this is good content. As always, I am your host, Josh McMillion, saying every day is a gift. Don't waste yours. I'll see you next time.